missiles. All you need to do is to lower the quality of education, and if there is exam cheating, you will have destroyed a nation. So, when I came into office, among the first things that I did, because it was important that we save our education system, I appointed a 42-person task force made of education professionals, people who had run schools and universities and colleges, people who had experience. And they took almost 8 months. And I tasked them with sorting out the issues in our education sector. These great professionals, and I have every reason to believe they did a good job. They came up with recommendations on what to do with CBC, recommendations that we have implemented, and to a great extent, we now have an aligned, competence-based education system. They also recommended what I needed to do in terms of pupil-teacher ratio. And it's the reason why I have hired 56,000 new teachers in the last 2 years, the largest in the history of Kenya. And it is also the reason why we are implementing the student-centered funding model that is aimed at sorting out the challenges that are in our universities. We are 1 year in. Last year, we admitted students using this model. And what this model has done is that we have taken the amount that we are funding our universities from an average of 45 billion shillings every year to 82 billion shillings every year. That is the quantum of additional resources we are making available, both for help, for scholarships that go to our universities. The biggest challenge that universities had was that they had inadequate funds, because we promised, or government promised, that they would sponsor students, both loan and scholarship, up to 80%. But they didn't meet their end of the bargain. And we ended up with a big crisis. As I have told you, we ended up with debts of close to 180 billion shillings owed to our universities. As a result, universities could not teach the courses that they were offering to our students, and we ran the real risk of lowering the quality of our education. And as I have told you, you know what kind of a risk that poses to our nation. The new student-centered funding model has 5 bands. The banding did not start with this model. Everybody should know that. We started the banding in 1996. There has always been banding. It didn't start with this model. I know there is a push that maybe this banding started with this model. It did not. It's always been there. All we did is, instead of having four bands, we made it 5. And we have reasons for that, and I'll explain. Number two, the loan component, again, did not start with this model. I went to university in 1987 as a fresher. And I had a loan, just like you do. I paid my loan. My loan was $55,000. There was an interest of 2%. The statistics are there with the Higher Education Loans Board. I paid my loan facility with an interest, so I paid $69,000. In fact, I paid my loan when I got my first salaried job as a member of parliament. So the loan component is not a new thing. It's what has always been there. It's what makes the model sustainable. What we have done is, and I want to put this in context, we have about 10,000 secondary schools. 3,500 secondary schools in mostly rural areas, informal settlements, marginalized areas. 3,500, they don't send a single child to university. Whole communities, whole villages don't have a single child they send to university. It is the reason that I decided to hire 55,000 teachers to send to these schools. It is the reason why this year we're going to build 1,800 laboratories in those schools, because those schools, many of them don't have a single laboratory. Many of the students who do exam in Form 4, they meet first time a laboratory setting during the examination. That disturbs me a lot, that we have close to 1,200,000 children who go to school and they have no chance of going to university because of the school they attend. Let's put that aside. In the new funding model, about 12% of the students are in Band 1. Band 1 are straight children who are orphans. All of them, without exception, go to Band 1. Children who are associated with disability, all of them go to Band 1. Children whose parents are on cash transfer because they are classified as vulnerable, all of them go to Band 1. And students whose parents earn below 6,000 shillings a month. All those students go to Band 1. And this Band 1, we changed it slightly. Everybody used to get 80% scholarship and loan. We decided that for these kids, we raise it to 95%. From 80 to 95%, they get loan and scholarship. 70% scholarship, 25% loan, and only 5% their parents pay. And that is roughly maybe something below 5,000 shillings a semester. And it is because they truly need our help. Band 2 are the next, whose parents earn below 25,000 shillings. They get 90% loan and scholarship, 80%, 80% loan, 80% scholarship, 70%, 80% scholarship, sorry, and 10% loan, and the household pays 10%. Number 3, they get 80% scholarship, 10% they pay loan, and 10% household they pay. These are the 3 most important because they affect the vulnerable. The others, band 4 and band 5, these are the people whose parents earn up to 70,000 are in band 4, and in band 5, the people whose parents earn beyond 70,000. So, the assessments are being done by a means testing instrument. They are not an arbitrary figure. A means testing instrument that has been in operation since 1996. I don't know whether the people from Higher Education Loans Board are here. When did the means testing instrument come into? Is it 91 or 96? 1996. That means testing instrument has been there since 1986. And it has parameters from a multi-agency approach. We have parameters from Kenya Revenue Authority. We have parameters from Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. We have parameters from NIMS, which is the education portal for registration of persons. We have statistics from our ecosystem that serves the registration of the vulnerable in the Ministry of Labor, and many other variables that are put together. It is as objective as it can, and we keep improving on it to make sure that it assesses our children correctly. There's been cases, legitimate cases, of some students who have been placed in the wrong band. And sometimes it's because of the information that has been supplied. And there is an opportunity for a parent or a student, if they are banded in a band that they don't think they belong, there is an appeals process. Last year, I think we got 9,000 or 10,000 appeals. This year, we've gotten how many appeals so far? How many appeals so far? 26,000 appeals have come in, and they are being processed. And they have undertaken that any appeal of the 100 and how many students applied? 134,000 students applied, 26,000 have appealed, and they are being processed. They've given me the word that the processing will take 3 weeks, and every parent or student will get their responses.
Yes, sir.
Especially if they have supplied information and corrected the information that's sometimes in the portal.
Yes, sir.
Some of the time, when students go to a cyber, and sometimes the cyber keys in information that's not correct, we end up with the wrong information, and sometimes we end up with students in the wrong band. But overall, is a process that has been tested, is a process that has worked, and we want to use it to take our education to the next level. Let me conclude so that I can take questions from you. Let me conclude by saying I have engaged stakeholders. I have had already 3 meetings with vice chancellors because I wanted to get feedback from them as to whether the model is working and whether the model is sustainable. In all the 3 meetings, the vice chancellors and the managers of our universities have confirmed to me that the model is working, and that together, in fact, one vice chancellor told me when he told the people in his ecosystem the model is working, he was told, yeah, it's working for the university because you can now afford to pay your suppliers and salaries, but it's not working for the student and the parent. But then I asked him, if it is working for the university belongs to the students and the parents. Or at least so I think. The other feedback that I have got from the vice chancellors is that we need to do more explaining. The students need to understand it, the parents need to understand it. And that's part of the reason why I decided to have this town hall so that we can have a conversation. I've also engaged students in different fora. They've told me their concerns. They've told me about this loan. They don't want this loan. They want it to be a scholarship. And I have told them the loan is part of what sustains this. If I didn't pay my loan, possibly you couldn't get a chance to learn. So everybody, it's a continuous process. You pay today, you learn today, you pay tomorrow so that somebody else can learn the next day, and they pay, and we all, it's a relay of sorts. They have raised issues about some of the students that are being put in the wrong bands, and I have explained to them that these are issues that we can correct. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this town hall. I know I've taken a bit long. Welcome to this town hall. I'll field questions. Please be as candid, as open as possible, and there are no consequences for asking any question. So. Karibu. Yes.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. And standing on the already established